You're listening to the Punk Rock Museum Presents. Here we go. We're going to rock out with some quiet readings from the Small City Blues, which is Rock and Roll Nigger. And Jay Davis is going to read for us, and Michael will probably chime in because he always does. So you're listening to the Punk Museum Presents. Okay. Jay Davis.
Then he brought in a wacky, funny, metaphysical, beautiful fairy who was Peter Ivers. He was pure love. I even sang backup in this band, Vitamin Pink. Poor sweet darling, he didn't want to sell out. He knew that if the Biggies got their money-grubbing hands on the New Wave Theater, the artists we booked and the material would eventually all become as meaningless and ubiquitous as the culture we sought to change. So we were determined not to hand it all over. Night Flight alone had the late night teen and adult market. Back when there was nothing to watch, all of a sudden there was something to look at in the wee hours of the AM. Our project was better than theirs in popularity, and they couldn't stand that. The longer that particular tugging contest lasted, the more mentally warped they became. Finally, it was the cocaine running the punk show, and we didn't roll like that. Most of the street punk kids were still doing street and other drugs. Divide and conquer. It was like a big vaudeville show and everybody wanted in. They just all believe that they deserve to be famous. The only time you hear from those people is when they believe there's something they can have. David was screwing all the girls on the show, and his activities with the boys was purely speculation. I always thought he had a crush on Peter. Peter's death came about because we had all quit, and basically the whole show was walking away from David, and he couldn't let that happen. Now, Mr. Earache was a white, blonde, tall neo-Nazi working the door at the New Wave Theater, hanging out late night after the show was over. I saw Peter, and he told me he quit. I asked why, since I was Peter's right-hand girl. And he said that David told him that I was a clueless nigger who didn't know what I was doing. David Jove said, I'm sorry. Peter Ivers is dead. This is no joke, quote, end quote. Everyone thought Peter was gay, but nobody could imagine how many chicks he was dealing with from all the multimedia companies, like Harold Ramis, the director's wife, and just countless girls. I told him all the time that having all these girls around was danger in itself. He just carried on, still trusting. Check out the following, and you'll understand his charisma. And here is where I put a video from the New Wave Theater, and Peter Ivers. Actually, it was a video of Peter. And I have another, I have an ad hoc .fm post to New Wave Theater. And then I also have a YouTube source. And that's it. That's the writing that I got.
Very nice reading. What did you think, Michael?
It's really good.
And it's the beginning of the more intrigue part of the book, where punks collide.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's coming along, and yeah, that's really good. What do you think, Michael?
Yes, and from there it's going to go into the horror movie of the first meeting with David Jove.
Right.
The Devil and David Jove. Yep.
Yeah. The horror movie, I want to use that, of the first meeting.
Well, what we call it is horror show in England.
Yeah, not to forget any details of that the Saturday Night Live people wanted New Wave Theater as the show after them, and